Everything happens at a subatomic level. Okay, so as is above, so is below. As is within, so is without. Okay, and so the reality is everything that you're creating it subatomically. The Homo sapiens, we have 80 to 100 trillion cells, and we actually have the ability to project outside of ourselves.
Welcome back to the Business Healer Podcast, where we help you quadruple your income while working just 3 hours a day. Now you can get off the roller coaster of feast or famine and finally scale your business the easy way. Hi, I'm Knolly Williams, the Business Healer. I run 3 six-figure businesses while working just 3 hours a day. And in this podcast, I show you how to focus on the things that help you make a ton more money while working a lot less, without the hustle and grind. Let's go.
So what I want you to do, I want you on a blank piece of paper, I want you to write down your monthly income goal. A little exercise. What's your monthly income goal right now? If you already got it, you don't need to do the exercise. You're like, man, I'm making too much money. Who's making too much money? They're making more money than me. Like, I'm making more money than I want to. Like, I wish I was making less. Like, anybody? No volunteers? Okay. All right, so right under that, what I want you to do is I want you to write down, right below it, write down how much how much would you like to make, and then how much do you currently make per month? How much do you currently make? Be honest with Uncle Knolly. I mean, you ain't lying to nobody but yourself. You lying. I'm not gonna read your answer out loud or anything. So, and if you're really ashamed of it, you better cover your page while people are looking over like, oh, there. This is personal information. So, any volunteers want to share with me the difference between the two numbers? Like where you know you should be, any brave volunteers, I should say. Hey, this is just, I mean, we do have video, but I'm just saying it's just us. Net or gross? Somebody asked that about, because my wife and I, we have an account called God's Money. And we understand the principle of tithing. It's actually technically not a current principle for believers, because the reason for the tithe was for the 12th tribe, for that other tribe, right? So, but we like the principle of tithing, and we think that God put it in place very specifically for his children. So we've been tithing since we got married. We have a separate account called God's Money. Completely separate account. And one time I was like, well, do I tithe off the gross or the net? And somebody asked me, he says, why are you asking that question? You trying to give more? Like, no, I'm trying to give less. So what I did my whole career in real estate, over 1,000 transactions. Every single transaction we had, 10% from the title company. Yeah, from the top. Yeah, that's how I did it. I'm not saying how you do it, but how I did it was from the top. And it just wired. Why did I wire it into a separate account? Man, it's in my account, it's gone, no. I'm good with money now, but I was bad with money when we got married. I was real bad. Josie will tell you about that. Okay, so anybody want to share with me the difference between the two? Like the number difference. You want to share it?
Our numbers?
Well, no, not your numbers, the difference. Like, I'm not going to have you share your numbers where you are, but the difference between what you know you should be making and what you're currently making. What's that number?
A little more than 3 times.
3 times? Okay. Anybody else? You can yell it out. Twice as much? Okay. Half. You're making half what you should. You're making a third of what you should. Anybody else? Like, I ain't sharing my numbers, fool. I'm trying to get my numbers out of me.
204,000 short.
You're 204,000 short monthly or annually? So he's short about 20 grand, almost 20 grand a month, about 18,000 a month. So what is that difference? Where does that difference come from? Where's the shortage from? Right there. She said it. Say it again.
Mindset.
Yeah.
That's it. People are like, man, I'm not gonna hire a coach. That's $1,000 a month. I charge a lot more than $1,000 a month. I hired a coach when I was 8 months in the business. My coach, I told my coach, I want to do about 20 deals. I'm set. I'm good. She said, why wouldn't you do 100 deals? I had 100 deals. That's stupid. That's dumb. I didn't tell her that. But I was like, what? I don't want to work that much. She said, Knolly, do you realize that if you did 100 deals, you would actually work half as much as if you did 20 deals? Didn't make any sense to me at the time. It really didn't make sense. She tried to explain it to me. I didn't understand it. But I said, Coach Julie, she's been doing this longer than mine. I'm 8 months in the business. I'm going to do it. And I've never not had a coach. Now I have multiple coaches. By the way, the more money you make, the more your coaches cost. Y'all know that? They start going up. Like, you need better coaches. And so really, that's your mindset. The delta between the two numbers is your mindset. That's all. You say it's $18,000 a month. You're losing $18,000 a month because of this. That's it. But you don't want to pay $1,000 a month for a coach or 15, whatever the number is, to get that $18,000. See, if I would have never had Coach Julie, I would have never got to 100 deals a year. I wasn't thinking that way. Right? She showed me how. So in 1921, Albert Einstein won the Nobel Prize for his work in quantum physics. And quantum field theory, anybody study quantum physics here? So it's, this makes it sound complicated. It's a body of physical principles that combines quantum mechanics and relativity to explain the behavior of subatomic particles. The reality is that everything, what we discovered in science is that everything happens at a subatomic level. Okay, so as is above, so is below. As is within, so is without. Okay? And so the reality is everything that you're creating it subatomically. The Homo sapiens, we have 80 to 100 trillion cells, and we actually have the ability to project outside of ourselves. Now, the thing is, my wife and I were at an Airbnb the other day, and we didn't have Wi-Fi. Have you ever been a place where you didn't have Wi-Fi? I had to teach 2 classes. Okay, and they were live, and I needed Wi-Fi. So about 30 minutes before, because of my wife, they moved us to a better location, because I was like, could y'all please fix? I'm nice. Like, my wife got on, she said, my husband's trying to work, and you got, she get, woo! Look, when you, She was real nice. She was nice in her way. She was nice the way she knows how to be nice. I'm like, look, I'm done. It's time for you to talk to my wife. And they had us moved within like an hour. So here it is. Now all of a sudden I have Wi-Fi. Now we don't understand how Wi-Fi works. These signals, radio signals, all that kind of stuff. But the reality is that the human brain has the same capability. I mean, it's been, when you start getting into quantum mechanics, you start to understand that all this, we won't go down this rabbit hole, but all of this is connected, and we have this power that God has created us with to create, that came from Him. The way Nikola Tesla said it, he said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So I really encourage you to start studying quantum physics more in terms of what you are truly capable of. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you what? That you have received it, okay? And it will be yours. Because with God, there's no timeline. See, we live in a realm with time and space because that's in this realm. But time doesn't really exist. Most of y'all know that, right? A lot of the theories and science has already proven that. But in this realm, time exists. But with God, He said God knows the end from the beginning. Why would He say that? He knows the end from the beginning. Because really, there's no time. There really is no ending. There is no beginning. Like you say, in the beginning, God. What beginning? Well, the beginning for us, but not the beginning for Him. Okay? And when you go to John, that's in Genesis. You go to John, okay? In the beginning was the Word. And the Word, was God, was with God, and the Word was God. Okay? In the beginning. In what beginning? Well, you go back 1 billion years, He was there. Go back 1 trillion years, He was there too. Go back 1 quadrillion years, He was there too. What beginning you want to, it's up to you, but it's just so we can have context on it, but there really is no beginning. Does that make sense? For Him. And by the way, Scripture says that I pre-existed. I don't know if y'all knew this. Okay? He says, I knew you. He told Joshua, He said, did you know I knew you before I created you in your mother's womb?
And he did the hairs on the head.
Yeah, he knows the hairs on your head. Yeah, after you're born. But before you were born, with Joshua, he said, I knew you. Okay? And the word for knew is the same word in Genesis where it says Adam went in and knew Eve and begot a son. Okay? That's an intimacy. That's an intimate knowing. It's not just like he knew about him. He says, I knew you. Now, we don't know all about that, about how, what was going on there in terms of how God knew us. Now, there was another guy that said, man, I did this for you. He came to Jesus. He said, man, I've done this for you. I've done that for you. I did this. I went back. He said, man, depart from me. I never knew you. Use the same word. So some people he knows, and some I don't know about all that. Okay, that's way above my pay grade. I'm just saying that Jesus gives us a real clue and a secret right here. So again, the quantum field, that's where God lives. Okay, and scientists are studying this as if, it's science in a way, but it's it's so much more. So in Think and Grow Rich, anybody ever read this book? It says, one of the quotes in that book that I like, it says, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Thoughts are things, and powerful things at that, when mixed with definiteness of purpose and burning desire, can be translated into riches. Now, when Jesus used the word believe, the word is pisteo. In the Greek, it was translated to the Greek in pisteo. That word means to fully rely in. So in Scripture, the word believe was an action word. So if Jesus came to me and said, Knolly, do you believe in this? If this was a stool, he said, do you believe in that stool? What I would do is wherever I was, I'd walk over to it and I would sit down. I wouldn't answer that I believe. I would actually, it's an action word. You demonstrate, your faith through action. And so it's actually a verb. We think of it as like, okay, I believe, that's a mental ascension to facts. But when you say you believe something, but you have no action behind it, then you show that you really don't believe. Does that make sense? Okay? So a lot of you guys are like, oh, I know what to do. Well, do you believe in this? Really, you don't believe in it because you're not doing it. Earl Nightingale said, you become what you think about most of the time. Now, I'm here to remind you, this is all stuff you guys know already, right? Isn't it? Okay? I'm here to remind you of what you already know, all right? So look at this. You guys know about neuroplasticity? Okay, this is a smart group. I know whenever Bradford puts people together, they're like really high level. So I know you guys already know about all this stuff. Neuroplasticity is something that we learned about in 1890. We learned, before then, I'm dating myself, but when I went to school, they would be, if you drink a beer, you're going to burn up so many brain cells and you'll never grow them back. Anybody ever been told that? That's a lie, okay? And I had 2 beers yesterday, but who's counting? But the point is, here's how it really works. So we used to think up to 150 years ago that the brain was static. It could never change. But just think about a computer that has all these circuits in it, right? Imagine if your computer with all these circuits could just rewire itself. Wouldn't that be amazing? That'd be pretty incredible. That's what our brain can do. So here's a brain that they took before training, 2 weeks after training, and 2 months. You would think that that's a different brain, but you can see the basis of it is the same, but it's created all these new neural pathways and synapses, and that is what our brain, and Colin, that's what Colin's brain is doing right now with all this training that he's getting. And if they were to take scans of your brain now, and a year from now, 2, 3, it's going to be a different brain, a completely different brain. Go ahead.
If I can add to that, but your physical brain actually continues to get smaller as you age because your brain will cut out the circuits you don't need. So much like 3 hours, you only need to build the ones you actually use.
And so if you don't use it, what happens?
Yeah, you'll lose those, for sure.
Wow. So this is how God has created us.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Business Healer Podcast. Remember to spread the healing by sharing this episode. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you'll never miss an episode. I'll see you on the next healing episode of The Business Healer.